Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Before starting my video, if you didn't subscribe my channel yet, please do, and do not forget to turn on notifications as I'm sharing every week great content for you. In this lesson, we will continue with exceptions. Before lesson, I did everything to make ready, and we have plenty of time to talk while I'm showing what I did and while I'm showing the codes, guys. Alright, first of all, we don't have many exceptions. Only exceptions we have in mapper class. And I created a mapper exception. I just created a new folder and I created mapper exception here. And just basically I inherit from exceptions and create a new constructor. And I'm passing through our messages to base exception. But I would like to show some best practice here. As you can see, there is a 3 dot located here, and it's telling us you can simplify this usage using primary constructor. Right click on it, click quick actions, and use primary constructor, and it's now simplified. And you can bring your curly brackets here to show them more simplified. And C# have a kind of new feature. You can remove those curly brackets. As you can see, we have an error messages. It's telling us basically you need a curly brackets. It's expected, but you can put your command dot together here. Now all good. You don't need to add your curly brackets anymore. And Control KD. Now it's more simplified and it seems much more basic. I'm using this kind of things in those empty pages. It seems much more less code, guys. Alright, let's save it. I just would like to share with you how I'm using this kind of new features in C#. Alright, we created our mapper exceptions and let's go our mapper section. I just basically change from exception to the mapper exception. Let me show you my changes. This is my mapper class. Basically, it was exception and I switch it to the mapper exception. This is all what I did in this class, guys. Alright, exception, mapper exception. I assume you understand what we did right now. Alright, let me delete these. Sorry, let me close those pages. Let's continue Solution Explorer. Now we need to catch those exceptions, right? So I'm going to create a middleware, which I already did. I just basically create a folder middlewares, and I created 2 middlewares. First one is for exceptions. Let's continue with the exception middleware. Basically, I created a static class and I created a static method which use custom exception. I gave use prefix, which is best practice use while you're adding an application builder service. Let's go our program CS file. You will understand why I'm using use custom exception. We are going to use that method exactly here in the middleware pipeline with the other ones. Alright, now we're going to define this use custom exception just here with those codes. And as a parameter, I'm adding application builder this with this keyword, and this keyword allows us to use app.use custom exception. Okay, perfect. I assume you understand this section. Then we are using use exception handler. This is global exception handler. You can either use those exception handler directly here, like exception handler, but instead of using here, I'm just creating new middleware, and it seems much more clean and tidy. Alright guys, basically we are using action delegate, and we are just adding our configurations using this symbol and application builder config parameter. Once we jump inside, we are using run method. It means once this method run, our pipeline will be stopped and we're not gonna move on with the next middleware stop. So this is the end deadline. After this section, there is no go further. Okay, once we get inside this run method, basically we're going to define our content type, which is going to be application JSON. So it means our response content type will be JSON format. Alright, so this is defined. Then we are going to get our exceptions, which we use those features in our MVC project, if you remember. Once we received our exception feature, we're going to define our status codes. Okay, I'm using here a basic switch method, and according to our exception, which is error is exception, as you can see, according to our exception, I'm defining a status code. If we received a mapper exception, our status code will be 400. Anything else will be coded 500. Alright, now we have our status code in our hands. Now I'm going to define my response status code. Okay, response content type defined, one tick. And context response status code defined, another tick here. Then we need to create our response. This is our response, guys. If you remember, all responses are same content, custom response DTO, and it's going to be no content DTO, not sending any, we are not sending any data. The first one is status code, and this is an error page, error catching page. So we have an error, and as an error, we are returning exception feature error message. So we are basically sending the message of the exception. Alright, all is done. Now we need to serialize this response as a JSON format because our content type is JSON. So this is an async context, async method, await context response, write async, and here is the serializing operation. Alright, perfect. If we get any mapper exception or another exception, we're going to receive this status code and the exception error together in our response DTO, guys. Perfect. I assume you understand how we going to catch exception middleware. If you have different exception, or if you would like to specify another exception, just add here. That's it. The middleware is going to catch and return you meaningful messages. Alright. And this is not finished, guys. We have a couple of more, how can I say, return messages to be catched, like 401 unauthorized access, 403 forbidden access, or 404 page not found. To catch those, we are using status code pages. Okay, let's go program CS file. So we have use status code pages, but I need to customize it. That's why I created use custom status code page with the same method with the exception. Okay, let's go back our middleware. This is another class. Same rules applied here. It is going to be static class, and parameter is going to be application builder with a this keyword, and I applied use status code page. Async context, we are getting inside with the context. Then we are receiving status codes. Status codes comes from our response, guys. Once we received our status code, we're going to put a logic. If is 401, our response is going to be this. If it's 403, our response is going to be that one. If it's 404, our response is going to be that one. Perfect. I assume you understand how we use those status code page. Now I'm going to test them all. I didn't test yet, by the way. To test it, I'm going to use Postman this time because we need to send wrong URL and we can't do that with the Swagger. So let me open my Postman and let's try to get some exception and error messages. We couldn't get any 403 because we don't have any authorization system yet, and we're going to get 401, we're going to get 404, and I'm going to put somewhere an exception. I'm going to receive the exception messages as well. All right, let's start with the 404. Okay, first of all, we need to make some preparation. Let's add an exception in our client controller just for test purposes. Not you. Get all clients. Let's add throw new exception as a message. Let's say test. Okay, another exception for mapper. Throw mapper exception test. Oh, we forget to add new here. Perfect. Exception test preparation is alright. And I'm going to add authorize attribute to receive 401. We won't able to reach those methods. Alright, anything else? Okay, I guess all done. Let's run the application. I'm waiting my C# to be loaded. Perfect. Let's go Swagger now. I'm going to get the link first of all. Let's close everything which is open here. Okay, there is a clean page. Let's try to, we can get our exception by the way. Let's execute. We get exception. Let's continue. Okay, we received our message with 500 status code. Alright, let's continue with the client ID. Doesn't matter what we gave, we're going to get error message. Okay, this is another exception. Let's continue. As you can see, mapper exception test 400. These are workings. Perfect. Let's try to reach invoice section. We're going to get 401. Okay, data null. Yeah, this is 500 because no authentication scheme was specified. We don't have an authentication scheme. Okay, we will do that. Let's close the application first. I'm going to add app authentication just for test purposes. We don't have one actually. Probably it's going to work now. And our exception middleware is working. We received 500 error messages in correct format, by the way. Alright, let's try it out and execute. It's not working because actually we didn't set a real exception. Okay, I'm passing this 401 and 403. Once we created our authentication and authorization, and we can test those two. I'm only going to test 404, and if 404 is working, the other ones is going to work, guys. Do not worry about that. Okay, let's revert our authentication and these authorize attribute for now. Okay, let's save everything. Let's run the application, try to 404. Hopefully it is going to work now. Now I'm going to get this link. Try it out. Okay, just execute. I'm just gonna copy the link from here. Yeah, this is the link I need. Control C, perfect. This is the URL. Let's send data. Okay, this is the data. As you can see, we are receiving. Now I'm going to send a broken data. This is a broken data. Let's send it. As you can see, 404 has been catched. Page not found, received. Once we create our authorization and authorization, we're going to receive 401 and 403 as well. Let me see, is there anything should I'm just thinking. I think that's all, but I would like to try one more thing. Alright, I would like to try one more thing. If we send an invalid data for as a parameter, yeah, let's say just 9. So this is our link. Okay, a Swagger doesn't allow us enter. Oh, it's allowing. Yeah, it doesn't allow us to enter rather than integer. So I'm just going to use my postman to send data. Okay, when I send 9, everything is perfect. What if I something different number? Invoice not exist. What if I send invalid data like a text? Let's see. Okay, the value is not valid. Perfect. We don't need to add, we don't need to do something different. It's automatically catching the value is not valid. Perfect. I just wonder if we received any absurd, any odd response, we're going to add another filter, action filter. We're going to catch the value, comes from parameter, and we can overwrite these exception messages as well. All right. I guess all done. Let's close everything. About sorry, couldn't tell you about authentication and authorization. I'm not gonna do those in this video list. Once I finish this one, we will move on. API consumer project, and I'm going to merge this project and previously MVC project together. And I'm going to create another consumer project. We're going to consume this API and it is going to be much more funny, and then I'm going to create our authentication and authorization. I can create our token protection here, but we're not able to use it because we need a token provider, and in our scenario our MVC project is going to be token provider. So I guess this is my last lesson belong to this playlist. Hopefully I hope you liked the whole video series, and the next video series will be the next video is going to be a beginning of new playlist, which is going to be API consumer, guys. Alright, thanks for watching, take care of yourself, see you on next lesson, bye bye.